This hole decides if you can go supersonic, and this flame decides how long you stay there. Welcome to the second episode of Jet Basics by an Aerospace Engineer. At subsonic speeds, air enters the engine smoothly, but at supersonic speeds, it's chaos. Shockwaves form and the flow must be slowed down before it reaches the compressor. And here's the catch, the compressor can only work with subsonic air. If supersonic flow reaches it, the engine stalls. That's the job of the intake. Variable ramps, S-ducts, or DSA pumps are all ways to step the flow down. How? Creating shockwaves. They reduce speed and rise pressure until the flow is calm enough for the compressor to do its job. First, oblique shocks, which slow it a bit, then a normal shock that brings it all the way into subsonic. Now the flow is ready for the next step, the engine. To explain it clearly, let's look at the simplest case, the turbojet cycle. First, the compressor squeezes the air. Then the combustion chamber adds fuel and ignites it. Third, the turbine extracts energy to keep the compressor turning. What's left exits a nozzle at high speed, producing thrust. At this point, it's sufficient, but not nearly enough for fighter performance. To reach the extreme levels of thrust fighters need in combat, they use an afterburner. Pilots call it lighting the pipe. It injects extra fuel directly into the exhaust, where some oxygen is still available, creating massive heat release and thrust spikes. That's what creates the famous shock diamonds. The downside, fuel consumption skyrockets. A fighter can empty its tank in minutes. So fighter propulsion is a system in balance. The intake calms the supersonic airflow, the engine turns it into steady thrust, and the afterburner adds the extra punch when it's needed.